Good morning everyone, my name is Leo, welcome again to VisualMed by Leo, and today I'm going to show you the closed medulla and the open medulla. Okay, so we have two different structures to cover during this video lesson. Now, I would like to start with the closed medulla because here you're going to find specific anatomical features on its anterior and posterior surface, and they are significantly important due to their roles in motor control and sensory processing. Here in the closed medulla, you're going to find the central canal. The central canal runs through the center of the medulla oblongata, and you can see here on the posterior surface one of the first structures that I'm going to cover during this lesson, which is called gracial tubercle. Okay, the gracial tubercle, as I said, is located on the posterior surface of the closed medulla, and it corresponds to the gracial nucleus, which is part of the dorsal column medial lemniscus pathway. And it is clinically relevant because damage to this area can result in impaired proprioception, which is we can call the awareness of body position, and the fine touch sensation from the lower limbs. Conditions such as tabes dorsalis, which is a late complication of syphilis, usually affect this area, okay, this region here. Now we have the cuneate tubercle, which is this one right here, the neighbor one, more to the posterolateral surface, and it's still posterior surface, but this part here corresponds to the cuneate nucleus and is involved in processing sensory information from the upper limbs and trunk. Lesions here in this region can lead to deficits in proprioception and fine touch sensation from the upper limbs, and this is quite often observed in conditions like multiple sclerosis or spinal cord injuries affecting dorsal columns. Now, right here, we have the central gray matter, this one, which is in black, okay, it's not gray. And this one here is surrounding the central canal, and it contains neuronal cells, the bodies of the neuronal cells, and that you probably know very well, play an important role in autonomic functions, which includes the breathing, respiration, cardiovascular regulation, and reflex actions. This area, if damaged, what will happen? What do you think that will happen? Just pause the video and try to write your answer below. Okay, so lesions here can result in life-threatening complications such as respiratory failure or cardiovascular instability. For example, an example of which kind of injury can affect this part here: a stroke in the brainstem, or even a trauma here can cause damage to this area. Now, the pyramid. Let's talk about the pyramid. The pyramid is, as you can see, is found here on the anterior surface of the closed medulla, and it represents the pyramidal tracts. It will carry voluntary motor signals from the cerebral cortex to the spinal cord, and is clinically relevant because injury affecting this area here will cause upper motor neural signs, or UMN, such as spasticity, hyperreflexia, and Babinski signs. Conditions like amyotrophic lateral sclerosis or strokes affecting the pyramids can also lead to these symptoms. And now we are going to move to this structure right here, which is the open medulla. And in the open medulla, the central canal will expand. Okay, the central canal will expand into the fourth ventricle, which is cerebrospinal cavity that will receive the fluid specifically in this area, okay? The cerebrospinal fluid will flow here. And this section also has a distinct anatomical features that are crucial for both motor control and coordination. Let's start with the fourth ventricle, okay? Fourth ventricle is a cavity filled with fluid and is located on the posterior surface in the open medulla, and it will communicate with other ventricles in the end and the subarachnoid space via foramina. About these foramens, I'm gonna talk in another video, but yeah, we have a lot of different pathways here that are relevant to learn. Obstruction of the fourth ventricle usually leads to hydrocephalus, which is the accumulation of a cerebrospinal fluid, and this can cause increased intracranial pressure. Tumors or inflammation in this region can also affect the fourth ventricle. Okay, what else? We have here this inferocerebellar peduncle, or peduncle. Yeah. So, inferocerebellar peduncle. And this one here connects the cerebellum to the brainstem and will carry sensory and motor information. Now, damage to this area, damage to the inferocerebellar peduncle, will result in ataxia, which is loss of a coordinated movement that will particularly affect the balance and the gait. Conditions like multiple sclerosis or cerebellar infarcts can impact this structure too, okay? Then here we have the olive, okay, which is a prominent swelling on the anterior surface of the open medulla, and this here contains the inferior livery nucleus, which will play an important role in motor coordination and the generation of rhythmic movements. Lesions in the olive can disrupt motor coordination and contribute to ataxic syndromes, and this is often seen in degenerative disease like a Friedreich's ataxia. And then we have this one, that is the pyramid, okay? And the pyramid is similar here to the closed medulla, and also represents the pyramidal tracts. And as I mentioned earlier, damage to the pyramids will result in upper motor neuroscience. In the context of the open medulla, lesions here can also be caused actually by conditions like a brainstem stroke or demyelinating disease. So this is pretty much what I have about to share with you about the closed medulla and the open medulla. The closed medulla will have important structures like the gracile, the cuneate tubercles that will be involved in sensory processing, and the pyramids and the central gray matter that will be important for motor control and autonomic functions. And the open medulla will present the here on the posterior surface the fourth ventricle, and other structures, as you can see here, that will also be essential for the motor coordination. So guys, this is what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and now don't forget to subscribe, okay? I'll see you next time.